Hello, Gabra Zackman. And hello to the gorgeous YouTube audience and the gorgeous faces. And we are going to have a wonderful, interesting call. We've already had Gabra here, and we've already touched on the coaching, the background, the drives. But the word drive, Gabra mentioned when I reached out to her and said, please, please, please come back. The word drive hit me right in the solar plexus, because I've been unpacking a lot of things. I think I'm like you know how you're in your career, you go through different stages. And I think who better to unpack motivation, drive, and also I was re-listening to that book by Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the idea that magic is a tangible thing. And if you don't grab it, it's going to go off and somebody else can grab it, but it's got a life of its own. And I've experienced that feeling quite a few times recently. So let's unpack this. Can we start, please, Gabra? I'm not even going to, you guys, if you want to know who Gabra is, everyone knows who Gabra is, so don't say it out loud that you don't. And look at the About section: coach, teacher, successful VO, successful actress, successful everything. And she's a New York City girl, which I'm totally jealous of. So, can you please tell me what drive means to you? And also, I'm gonna front load this question so you can kind of just go with it. I'd like to know the difference between Gabra, who first started quote unquote career as a narrator, an artist, an actress, what drive meant for you then, and what drive means for you now. Because I'm reminded of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I think that when you go through a few years in your career, your needs change and who you are changes. And you have to.
My goodness. Yeah.
Throw it at me,
truly.
Gabra. What's drive
well,
to you?
My goodness. First of all, it's so lovely to speak with you again. And I remember, you said that you felt so energized when last we spoke, but so did I. So that was not a one-way street. I just want you to know that I got as much from speaking to you as well. And I'm just really psyched to have the opportunity to talk to you again.
It's like when you meet that friend in the playground that's really cool.
I thought you were going to say, when you meet that friend in the playground who's like, yeah, I also don't feel like doing the monkey bars. Do you just want to hang out and talk? Because I also am not really into the monkey bars. I suppose it's the same as meeting someone where it's like, monkey bars? Awesome. But you know what I mean? It's
I'm like Wuthering Heights in the corner, avoiding people.
That's right. Oh, you're also reading Wuthering Heights at, age 10?
Yeah,
amazing.
I was Wuthering Heights and the Marquis de Sade.
Right. In elementary school. Right. Drive. Yeah, it's so interesting because I feel like I have so much drive. I've always had so much drive. But you are correct that the drive has shifted. The drive has shifted both in terms of what I'm driving toward, how I go after things, and also content, what it is that I drive towards, what it is that I go after. So I would say that let me answer the first part of the question, which is just, what does drive mean to me? And I think to me, it's a purpose. So I oftentimes, when I'm coaching, I talk about the umbrella of, if we are storytellers, and many of us work in more than one thing. Many of us maybe we're actors, maybe we're dancers, maybe we're artists, maybe we're, whatever it is that we are, but we're storytellers in more than one medium. And so then it's like, what's the overall arching umbrella of how you are, who you are as a storyteller?
Right.
And what do you feel overall your purpose is? And that changes also. I think that shifts and changes. But I think that for me, part of drive is purpose. So if I feel like part of my purpose is advocacy, perhaps advocacy, or giving women who don't quite have a voice in some way, either audibly by reading their stories or in some of my writing, or when I'm acting on stage and I'm sort of channeling generally a powerful female voice. That might be one part of it. But then I don't think that my storytelling skills are just for women either. So I sort of think, well, what is it then for men, for women of all ages, for men of all ages, for multi-gendered humans? What is my voice and what are my storytelling skills? What is the purpose of them? And I always think there's something about me that has, even though I didn't have it when I was younger, that speaks to a kind of confidence and standing in yourself and advocating for yourself or that which you believe in.
Yeah.
So then if that is part of like overarching purpose, and then my drive is to, for me, my drive is to do the things which fulfill that purpose, the projects that fulfill it, to live my life in a way that fulfills it.
What was it when you were younger?
When I was younger, I mean, I would say now I would say I have the luxury of thinking more that way. And I think when I was younger, it was like, can I just work as an actress? It was really just like, as an actress, can't I work as an actress? Can I make all my money as an actress? That was really the drive, was just that. Yeah, that's right.
Hierarchy.
That's exactly right. What my needs were at the time. That's exactly right. And my needs were like, how do I stop waiting tables? Really? How do I stop waiting tables and like make my life? And it was also, as an actress, it's interesting. It's very different now. I just did my first play that I've done in 8 years in December. And I've done a bunch of workshops and whatnot, but I was back on the stage for the first time in 8 years, December. And it was wonderful, but it was such a different human standing on that stage. As a younger woman, I was so self-focused. How do I look? Am I funny? Watch me cry here. She's always like, it's really, really hard to cry if you're saying, watch me cry here, you know? Watch out, look at how funny I am. Look at me. And then I felt like it was the opposite on stage now, 8 years since I was last on it. I feel like I was more like, let me just listen. What if I stand here? And sometimes on days when I couldn't quite be present, I was like, I will root my feet into the earth and listen. You know, it was like the entire thing. And then everyone kept coming to this show and being like, wow, you were so present. It was amazing. And I was like, I root my feet into the earth and I listen. It was all I could do. So I was like, sometimes if I'm just not present or I don't know what's going on or whatever it was, I just would root my feet into the earth and listen, which is so different from me as a young actress being like, see me, see me, see me, you know?
Yeah, I remember with me, it was sorry, somebody joined. It was, bear with me, view, speaker. Okay, I remember in theater, it was, don't look at my body, don't look at my body. I'm a good actress. It doesn't matter how much I weigh. That was like the whole thing. It was like, I felt like I was like having to like show up and be judged and not be able to do the thing I loved but I was the one judging me. And you can't be acting. How are you acting if that person is with you the whole time?
If you're so self-focused. I know. And me too. I was so self-conscious all the time. And the truth of the matter is that any storytelling craft is not about that. It's about the exact opposite. Literally, energetically, it's none of the crafts of storytelling are this. They are all about that.
Which in a way is the appeal, isn't it? Because you feel like if you can get to that place, you can transcend whatever feelings you have about yourself disappearing or appearing. You can transcend that because you're at this like kind of holy grail of like above it kind of thing,
right? Or maybe you can just transcend it on the stage, in the booth, blah 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 blah, you know, because I know I would say that like many of the actors I know are so present and confident and unshakable on a stage or in a booth or doing their art. But like in real life, it's like that's not necessarily the case. And that's okay too. That's acceptable. You know, like it's hard to find, I think, real rooting in life, especially with the way the world is now. I think it's really hard to find your feet.
I don't understand that. And this is like me having the courage to like literally just like say what I'm thinking off the top of my head. I
Mm,
know I should understand that. I know over the last few years, that's the way the world is. Everyone's saying it's more digital, it's less connected, we're more, and it's weird to me because I feel more connected. It's just I feel more connected. I feel, and maybe it's because I can deal with people online without the
yeah.
whole, am I fat, am I skinny thing. Maybe that's as
Well,
simple as that.
I love hearing you say that. It's really nice to know that some people find, I mean, I do find that I'm very widely connected in multiple media. So for
Right.
me, being online is a piece of it, on my phone is a piece of it, and then seeing people in person is a piece of it. I think it's more that like the world itself, the sort of foundations of the world feel shaky to me. That's where I think it's hard to find my footing sometimes, is like economically, politically, there's so much strife in the world. There's war,
Yeah.
there's on and on and on and on and on. Environmentally speaking, it's just a nightmare. And so we look at all these different things and it's very discombobulating. I actually just recorded an article yesterday, the title of which was Are We Doomed? Which was named for the title of the article is the same title as the name of a class at the University of Chicago, which this article is about, called Are We Doomed? Which is about the progress of society and has it doomed humanity. And the article was beautiful, but what I really loved about it was that a lot of these younger people, they're cynical. They're not necessarily optimistic, but if you know that you're doomed, there becomes some different questions. Number one, a question is like, what do you do with your time? What do you do with your time on this earth then? If like things are going in a bad direction, how do you live well? How do you live presently and well? Which is actually a kind of brilliant way to live really, really well and positively, even if
Yeah.
the walls are kind of falling down around us. And the other thing is a lot of them sort of articulated the idea that they felt that humanity was not doomed, that the spirit of humans to survive would outweigh the spirit of humans to destroy. And I just thought it was beautiful. It was actually a beautiful article. Like part of it was really painful, but part of it was really actually like sort of sent me off with a bounce in my feet.
But okay, so okay, I do have a tiny addiction to American news, but it's like a soap opera to me.
I do
But
not. Yeah, it is like a soap opera. I
it's
do
like a
not
soap
watch
opera.
it. I
But it's
can't
because I
deal with
don't
it.
live there.
All
So
right,
I'm
right,
not,
right, right.
that's why I'm not watching the debates now. I can't
Right.
even, I don't, but the thing about it is, that I don't know if you've heard of it. I'm probably going to butcher his name, but when I was a little girl, I was addicted to Leo Buscaglia. Have you heard of him? You've
I
got,
don't think so.
okay, you have got to look him up on YouTube. He used to teach at a university and he taught classes in love. And he's just the
Oh,
greatest, great, like one of the first like motivational speakers, like on, I mean,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
just the energy. You will love him. I'm guaranteeing it. And get past it's a
Oh,
bit aged because I mean I was a
yeah.
very young girl when I listened.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Leo is, um,
Mm,
I was well rooted in that philosophy. I lost it when I got older and started to like live in the world with other people. But his classes, it was a different time then. And his classes were, I mean, they were sold out. People couldn't get enough of it
mm,
because there was a truth to it. And he tells the story about there was like a football team or soccer team with like disabled children. I
mm,
don't think they were disabled. I don't know. They had, you know, it was children, it was a home for children that needed help and that different conditions.
mm-hmm.
And they were all competing and they were all like, you know, running to get the ball. And you can tell how much I know about sports by the way I'm going to tell this story. I don't have a clue. But one of them fell down and hurt their ankle. And like all four of them almost at the goalpost, running ahead, ran back, dropped the ball, got the friend with the hurt ankle, and pretty much carried the friend to the goalpost. And that very simple micro humanity. And so I think after COVID, and see, I think that's what I found with the Zoom world
Ah,
and with the friends I've made in the audiobook community and with my actor friends,
mm,
and I found, in my opinion, the news is doing what they're doing because you're not going to stop if they give you good news. So they're going to have to make it sound worse and worse and worse. That's all we're getting. So I don't know if I personally, I know that there are unique problems, but I don't know if they're as unique as we think they are, or if we're just being
yeah,
bombarded. But also we're in touch with kindred souls
yeah.
that we would never have met. I would never have met you,
Well, I know. I
you know.
know. No, it's true. It's true. That is the gift. That is the gift, certainly, of technology, particularly in a world in which we have been increasingly isolated. But when we were isolated, really in that first part of the pandemic, we were all
Yeah.
inside. It was like, oh my goodness, thank God we could connect in these
Yeah.
ways. You
And
know.
dance on YouTube and
Hmm.
and so you coach.
Mm.
Do you coach people in person ever? Or do you coach people
Um,
online?
I used to. I used to coach in person, and now I would say that is all of my coach. I mean, like most of my coaching's online. I wind up coaching friends also who like come over and we have lunch, and then I give them a coaching. So like, it's
Well,
like de facto winds up being in person. But but I would say that I used to actually coach acting classes as well as audio at ESPA, which is the School of Primary Stages here in New York, and I taught several classes in person there. And then, when the world changed, we sort of all changed. But not to say I wouldn't teach a class in person. I would be delighted to teach a class in person, but generally it's online.
do you spend more time writing or more time narrating at the moment? Like, what's the bulk of your kind of daily work?
The bulk of my daily work is narration. So I spend much more time narrating, wishing that I was spending more time. I wish that the proportions were different. So let's say I spend, 85% on, if we're just talking about work,
Yeah.
85% is on narration and 15% is on writing. I sort of wish that it were the opposite, but I'm not at that place yet.
So you were talking about drive
Yeah.
and how your drive has changed. And I think you've definitely, in this point of your career, I think we can all agree that you've moved up the hierarchy of like the pure survival. I'm booking jobs just because I want to
Mm-hmm.
prove to myself I can be an actress or a narrator. You've proven
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
where are you? What is your drive at the moment?
Mm-hmm. That's such a good question. Yeah, it's different than it was. And it's not, I find that I have an equal drive to open new doors for myself and make things happen
Mm-hmm.
as I do to actually relax and enjoy my life. So that for me is a big difference because there was a very long time in my, I would say, 20s to mid 30s, late 30s, even into early 40s, where I would say I just worked so much of the time. And it's not that I have such a vibrant life. I always have, but I'm not sure I smelled the flowers until this pandemic. That was the value for me.
Yeah.
I was not someone who smelled the flowers until suddenly it was like, wow, a world without flowers would suck. Let's smell the flowers. I mean, something in me really changed where I just began to live my life differently. So my drive is different. It means that I have a drive in two directions. I have a drive to create and to make beautiful things happen, but I have an equal drive to like make time for myself to enjoy life.
Right.
So I would say that some of my drive is about I have my hands in all these different pots of creation. And some of that drive is just what brings me joy. But some of it is how do I get passive income so that I am not working as hard, so that I am both earning my living and smelling the flowers, basically. That's how my drive has shifted. And that's quite different for me.
I like the way you said passive income because I still have a little girl's mentality of you're not going to make me be a businesswoman and talk about and just think about money, because where's the art and humanity in that? I mean, I do have that inner voice,
Yeah, yeah.
and I love the idea of passive income. I love the idea
Hmm.
of things organically flowing, naturally flowing. Um,
Hmm.
but I did sign up for Jennifer Jill Araya's like kind of money stuff because, but
Oh, good.
I haven't actually taken the time
I
to.
hear I hear she's wonderful. I've heard
She is,
nothing but wonderful things about
she
her.
is, she is
Yeah, I might
amazing.
at some point. I might at some point. I've heard such good things about her that it makes me go, I'm going to have to check in at some point with
Yeah,
what she does because I just like the sound of when everyone speaks about her.
I want to. I
Mm,
signed up. I know I want to learn that stuff,
mm, mm,
but
mm-hmm.
I want to record more. And what I realized was for the first time, I stopped beating myself up about
Mm.
wanting to do what I want to do, because beating yourself up takes time. I don't know how, but
Yeah,
it
it sure
seems to take
does.
time.
I think it's an energy suck. I think that's
Yeah,
what it is. It's almost like it doesn't necessarily take time, but if it takes your energy away from something you'd like to do, then you're deflated by it. Do you know?
yeah, yeah.
So can I ask you, is it all right if I ask you
Throw it
questions
at
on
me.
this?
I've
Can I
got
flip it out?
200
Well,
calls. I've got no filter at this point.
how's your workflow? We're in like a weird moment. And so I wonder how your workflow is in terms of like mine. I had sort of a dip in work for the first time in many years a while back, and now I have a tremendous amount of work again, which is lovely. But my approach to getting work has had to shift and change, just in terms of narration work, for example. That's had to move and shift and change. And I recognize that the industry is like a constantly sort of morphing thing. So my
Yeah.
question is, how's your work going?
I had a massive epiphany, and
Mm,
it wasn't my epiphany. It came from meeting. Actually, I consider him like a true genius and
mm,
a dear friend at this point, Hannibal Hills. And the thing is, he had this um he had like a site or something I signed up to,
mm.
and then I still don't want to tell people because I still feel like the secret's going to get out, and which is ridiculous and crazy, because what I learned is what helps me isn't going to help someone else
Yeah.
necessarily. Because we're all different and we all have our different ways of doing things. But I had, like everyone else, had an opinion about royalty share. I got to the
Mm,
point in my career where I'm working enough with publishers and I don't really have to do that thing. But I was saved, I think, before everyone hit really dry spells. I met Hannibal, and he explained to me the difference between royalty share and royalty share when you've found a well thought out project that's going to make money, royalty
right,
share.
right, right, right,
Um,
right, right, right,
a
right.
higher level book, and that there are ways to do it. And when you've had open conversations with writers. So I thought, I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to open like 2 slots this year for royalty share books. And I'll tell them, my priority has to be the publisher work, but I'm going to give this a go. 2 slots for for books that I love, to
Yes,
manage my portfolio. And
yes.
I met these 2 writers. I started off with these 2 writers, and oh my God, the work. It had been, I love my books. I love the books I've been booking, and I've been so lucky. The publishers have been giving me the thrillers that I've wanted and everything. But
Mm,
like
mm,
getting to narrate these books that like I sought out, that I would have been like amazed if somebody let me narrate it. Like I would have like wouldn't wait to buy the audiobook when I was a listener.
mm, mm.
So it informed the way I narrated. And
Oh.
meeting another thing I would never have done, Hannibal taught me to do. I had a conversation with the writers first, and it was magic. It was magic. It was suddenly, I'm working with this person that's amazing and I admire them, and I'm working on characters and I'm learning at a different level. And what
Mm,
Johnny Heller and all the coaches tell you, and you always try to remember, but then you get tired and stressed and sick with a migraine, and you have to be in the moment. This
mm,
wasn't a
mm,
problem because I couldn't
mm.
wait. So I got a little
Uh,
crazy and started working with more writers. And I'm not going to lie and say I stuck to the 2 royalty share books,
mm,
but suddenly I had writers reaching out to me, which never, ever, ever happened, asking me to do their thrillers, not royalty share. And the more I work, I know this sounds naive and stupid, but the more I work on books I love with all my heart and soul,
mm.
the better I'm getting. And the better I'm getting, the more work I'm getting. And that includes those types of books are coming to me from publishers. It's like I
I love
told
it.
the universe, this
Yes.
is what I'm good at, and I'm showing up and getting better. So I do have a problem saying no, and
Mm,
I have
mhm.
no more days off like planned, and I will still take on a book and but Hannibal Hills, Hannibal Hills changed my entire
I
perspective.
love this. I'm going to have to go down that rabbit hole, the Hannibal Hills
He
rabbit
is
hole.
he's so humble. He is
Mm.
so humble that like, but he's so hugely talented and brilliant. I haven't stopped talking about him since I
Yeah,
met
yeah,
him.
yeah. No, I love what you're saying. I do feel that, and I only harness this sometimes, but I do feel that sometimes the shift in energy
Yeah,
is all like the
yeah.
shift in energy, the shift in intention. I'll tell you a revelation I had, which is really cool. It's slightly different than yours, but it had the same results, which was had sort of a low moment of work, not terrible, but just different. And then I had this whole situation happen. Let me think how much of it I wish to describe. I don't think I need to describe any of the situation, just to say that there was an author who was looking for a reader. And I think that all of the readers that were being presented, I'm not positive about this, but it's my guess that they were young. And this is a memoir of a successful middle-aged woman, an artist. And she would not accept it. She said, I won't accept it. And through a kind of wonderful series of her old friend knew one of my old friends who said, let's see what maybe Gabra would be right for it. I wound up narrating her book. And I had this book was fabulous, by the way. I had this epiphany. And the epiphany was, oh my goodness, who one of the categories that I now represent of humanity is angry middle-aged women.
I love that.
And I'll tell you who is never going to stop writing. Angry middle-aged women. And I'll tell you who is never going to want someone inexperienced to read their work, or young sounding. Angry middle-aged women. And I'll tell you who's never going to be interested in AI if they can in any way avoid it. And that is angry middle-aged women. And it's like I kind of went, oh, and then suddenly all this work came in. And that was not with I didn't change anything. It
Because
just was
it's
something in
magic.
me. It's magic. It is magic. And magic can be called flow also. There's just
Yeah.
something where I went, oh, that's part of what this voice is. This is an angry middle-aged woman who advocates for XYZ and is passionate about XYZ and lived through XYZ. So therefore, and I just had this moment of, ha. And then I suddenly had a lot of work from all sorts of different places. It was an
And that
interesting thing.
it's
And I don't
out
know,
there. It's out
it's out
there.
there. Right.
I've got to be honest, but I don't say this because I understand that if you're not in a place to hear it, you're not going to take it the way it's meant. But
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, when I keep hearing people saying, "Oh, the industry's awful. There's not a lot of work. We're all going through a hard time," which
Yeah.
it's I just want to say there look at different ways around it. There is a ton of work, and AI is a blessing to us. I don't care what people say. AI is an opportunity because we are the solution to a writer's problem. They are getting bad
Mm.
reviews in tears. I've had somebody in tears because she took a
Oh,
chance. She was sold this big virtual voices. She ended up with a whole bunch of bad
oh,
reviews. And we are the
yeah.
solution. We are,
Mm.
and with a good book,
Beautiful way to think.
you
Wow.
know, it's all that work is out there. All these creatives are out there. Tons of people are producing, and everyone is desperate for connection. And we are
Yes.
the storytellers of the world. And what are we doing? We're sitting around telling stories about how there isn't enough.
I know. I agree with you. I think we're all responding to something very, very important and very true.
Yes.
However, the reframe is also necessary because I myself was like, oh my God, I suddenly have no work and at the end is nigh.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I've had to make some shifts in how I go after things. I've had to make some shifts in what I'm trying to pad for moments when there's less. What can I make that will have passive income, right? That's really what that's about.
I do have to
And
kind of pay attention to that at some point because the whole
yeah,
pretending it'll all be okay.
but that's what but you are paying attention to it already because that's what royalty share is. You already did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've already done it. I
Yeah.
mean, you just need a few of those books to really pop, and then that is your passive income. I think that that's what I mean. You've done it
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You're not ignoring it. I
And I
think that we
figure I
all
can't
need to
work
do that.
every single day
No,
of the year and be broke. I mean, do you know what
no,
I mean?
God,
And
no.
half the
That's the
jobs
thing.
are
I
paid.
know.
So,
Well,
you know,
that's the thing. The thing for me is that even doing audiobooks, working. I don't work every day. I work. I try not to work more than 4 days a week. Sometimes I do 5, but um, I'm paid well generally. And I work 4 or 5 days a week. And even that is sometimes I feel like I'm working too hard.
see, I
So
don't
that's
feel
my
like
other
I'm
question for
working hard
myself.
anymore. I
I
don't,
know,
I
but
just,
I think you're in a different place in whatever. But
yeah,
I think part of that, if I was going to reframe it, I would say it's because I am more of a storyteller than that which is in a booth. It's one piece of me.
yeah,
However, ultimately, I would love for the biggest things that I do to be equally held. So that would mean acting probably on a stage proper and writing. That
I
it should
do miss the
they should each
theater.
take an even third of sort of my time, my framework, my so I feel
Yeah.
like that's probably why I think for some people it's enough to spend most of your time in doing recorded stuff and it's beautiful and it's perfect and it's wonderful. I think for me it's just my soul doesn't live in just one creative space. It lives in lives in three plus 100 more,
I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
You can unpack this for me. Um, I remember, and it's funny because maybe it's something wrong with me. When I was in burlesque, you would get ready for a show, right?
That's
And
right. I love burlesque. We
I
got to
was
talk about that.
standing backstage with all these gorgeous women in
Yeah.
corsets and just like polished to the nines. And I remember turning around to them, I think there were like 8 of them, and saying, but seriously, you can't do this like every day because, like, who takes 12 hours to get ready for a 20-minute show? It literally takes 12 hours just to polish all your bits and they just
Yeah.
looked at me like I was crazy. But then I remembered that moment last week because, even retired people, even like, pensioners and everything,
Yeah.
take a daily walk and have a little. I said, surely you can get out of the damn house and take a 30-minute walk. So I did that. I seem incapable of doing life admin, recording, and then the basic exercise like all in one day. It seems to
Yeah.
be one or the other. How do you, because all that stuff, life admin, exercise, and you've got 3 creative endeavors, how the
Yeah.
hell do normal people find the time?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I will confess to you and your listenership alone that I spend more time than I'm comfortable with binging old TV shows.
There is that.
So that's a little bit of a time suck where I could really be like, I feel like I could be like boasting to you differently about what I get accomplished if I didn't spend 3 hours a night watching reruns of White Collar,
Glad I'm
whatever.
not the only
Okay.
one that does. And then I'm like, I don't know why I can't wake up early in the morning.
Me too. Me too. I wake up, I would go to sleep at like 1 every night. I wake up at 9. And every night I'm like, I did it again this morning. I was like, tonight's the night I go to bed by midnight. This happens every day though. Every day. Tonight's the night I go to bed by midnight. What a lie.
I know. And because the problem is right around 1:30, you convince yourself that this is actually acting training. That you're
you mean for when I next do a show. I did have to switch my schedule when I was doing a show in December, and I was like, this does, it's just, it hasn't switched back from that. So I went right back after many years. I went right back into like the 1 to 2 a.m. bedtime and like the 9 to 10 a.m. wake up time. And it's just not shifted back yet, but that's fine. Whatever, who cares? But so my answer is this. I said to myself recently, because I was feeling a little bit of what you're feeling, and I said to myself recently, my day is not good unless there is some exercise in it and some writing in it, because I feel like the exercise is what I do for my body. The writing is what I'm doing for my soul. Okay. So then the day's not good if there's not those two things in it, but they don't have to be in it a tremendous amount. So I'll tell you what I did this morning. This morning, I did my little teeny, I do like a short yoga practice every morning, which is basically just my body waking up. So let's say I do 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how long I feel like spending. And then I subscribed to an app. It was through Instagram. I can't believe they got me to subscribe to this app. And I can't believe I like the app. So it's an app called Bar Definition. And it's like this absolutely adorable little blonde in like San Diego who does these little short workouts, and like some of them are for this and some of them are for that, and some of them are Pilates and some of them are yoga, and I think it's fabulous. Like it's actually really it's really excellent. And I laugh so hard because I'm like, I got to write to her at some point and be like, I know that you think that this is all about the like women in their 20s and 30s who are like, whatever, either they're in a job that's busy or they've just had kids, like she's just had a baby, like, but I sort of want to show her, like, I wish I could take a video of me this morning doing her absolutely wonderful 15-minute, like, tone yourself workout with my cat, like squatting with my cat who just needed to be held. And I was like, oh, this woman needs to know that she's doing something right for the over 50 with cat set.
I love because my bird sits on my arms when I do my physio.
Like and I just like want to sit here. I just want to be like, I know it doesn't seem possible, but you're this like kind young woman from California. And I just want you to know you are speaking well to the over 50 in New York with cats. I think I'm going to have to. She's excellent. But anyway, the point being, I did like 15 minutes of that and I was like, whoa, that was quite nice. Then I took a little walk also today. So, but I have to do this, record for 2 hours, do a little record, take a little walk around. I have to do things like that or else I won't get them done.
And then
you must. You simply must.
Last week, and I swear it was like this. I'm dying. How do people do this? I can't. Every time I leave the house, it's a disaster. One time I got run over by a guy on a bike and ended up fracturing my knees. Then months later, I finally venture out again and I get some weirdo pervert stalking me through the like,
no,
I'm meant to stay in the house.
Well, do you have stuff in your house? Do you have like workout stuff? Because I've got a bunch of like free weights and like a stationary bike in my house.
I have stuff, but I just, you know how you feel like the things you don't like to do are the things you probably should be doing? Like, I feel like I probably should not be housebound at this age. Like,
no, you should not be. You should not be housebound at this age. But that said, if you are housebound at this age, lift your free weights and get on your elliptical or whatever you have in your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not watch TV? Like if you're watching TV anyway, why not watch it while I should take my own advice? I do use my stationary bike, but like I could watch, I could make myself a promise. I mean, I'll do it with you if you want while I'm watching my 3 hours of TV. Is your thing near your television, or do you watch on your computer, or can you do that? We could make a little pinky shake and be like, I'll do 30 minutes of every time I turn on my 3 hours of, whatever shit I'm watching, I'll do 20 minutes. Let's just pick 20 minutes on my stationary bike.
Actually,
if you'll do.
That's quite smart. I could do the physio for my stupid arms while I'm watching TV.
Do you want to do a little like pinky shake on it? And like, we won't punish each other if we don't hold it, but we'll just do our best to do that. Cause I'm like, why not just do that?
Honestly,
then
I
if
don't have
not
the
any
greatest history with buddies. I have a diet buddy and we've gained like I think 20 pounds each since.
Well, I don't know that you and I will wind up doing less.
Because I'm a bad.
You know what I mean? I
influence.
don't think
I don't think
there's
now.
Yeah, no, but I don't think that's the danger here. I think just like every once in a while, maybe we'll do that every once in a while.
So like we reminded, because like
why not?
Daniela, you couldn't do a few stretches while you're standing there.
But it's so easy, right? It's so easy to do then, right? So for me, it's generally better to do my exercise early in the day and to do like my TV watching while I recline at night. That's generally the best thing. But I kind of like the idea, like if I haven't managed to do whatever I wanted to do, just like getting on the bike for 20 minutes while I watch an episode of TV. What's the harm?
And not even the bike. I mean, because that's right before you go to bed. Like all the exercises you could be doing.
That's right. I could just do squats while watching TV. Yeah, like I could literally do squats.
Leg lifts completely transform the shape of your body.
They really do. They really do.
So you've motivated me. Okay. Yes.
I love it. I love it. So that was my answer. My answer is I have tried to institute, and it seems to have changed since I sort of instituted this idea of like every day I want to do something good for my body, some kind of exercise that feels good, and writing, which feels good here,
That sounds better, because to me, in my head, if I'm honest, it's been really, I resent this time suck having to leave the stupid house when I know I could be recording.
Right. But let me ask you this, because I feel that it makes my recording so much better if my body has been moving. So does it for you?
I used to have a commute. I used to give myself, because I used to walk hours, because when I worked in corporate offices, I hated my job. So I would just like take more lunches and walk. But I gave myself a commute. So a half hour around the park before I recorded, a half hour of the other way when I finished recording every day. And I remember going to London for a VO job and having to run all over town, tubes and everything. And like, it was a ways away from where I was. And I got in there and my vocal quality was a zillion times. I mean, it was just a VO job, so it wasn't that much anyway, but it was astoundingly, obviously better. My cardiovascular health.
It is astoundingly different. I know.
But when you don't have it, it's hard to, I suspect I might have a tiny bit of chronic fatigue, because
that's quite possible.
I crash.
Well, that's a real thing. I mean, like chronic fatigue is actually really a real thing.
Yeah.
Also, hormone issues are really a real thing, and they govern every system of the body. And so just being out of balance is a really real thing. I never used to get tired. I just had that energy level. And now sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, something's off today. I'm exhausted, and then other days I'm not. But
when that happens, what do you tell yourself? Because I spiral into, why am I not as fit and good as I used to be?
Oh.
COVID, and this is COVID. I've got to say, I was on about how lovely the digital world was. This is the downside for me.
Oh, I agree. I don't quite go down that way. Like if I really get tired, I sort of say to myself, something's not right here. So I had a situation that happened to me a couple of weeks back. My car was totaled. My car was vandalized. I was not in it. And I had to give up my car, which I love. And I went into grief. Did you see that?
It was such a beautiful car. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I literally cried for the better part of a week. I got fancy nails. These are fancy, expensive nails. I ate pizza every day, or bagels. And then And then, so there's to a point here, which is that I started to feel really tired. And I was eating a lot of sugar, a lot of wheat, and just like crying and not doing any exercise. And I thought, okay, I see what's happening here. This does not actually feel good, though I understand the need for this kind of comfort. But now that I've taken that period of time and mourned, I think I need to sort of lay off the pizza, lay off the alcohol. It's just sugar, really. But like, I need to lay off the pizza. I need to lay off the alcohol, and I need to drink more water. And I have felt up quite a bit more energy since I made that little shift, because I saw a real. So sometimes I think it's just about, what are we putting into our bodies? Are we putting vital things and enough water in them? Sometimes when I'm really tired, it's actually, note it, sometime when you next feel like you're wilting, all language intended, really what maybe you need is just water. That's often it. And none of us drink enough water. I certainly don't, but I've decided to make a shift. Once again, I sort of always come back to water, but I think really what we're putting in our body is the cause of what's making us exhausted. If we're also then not sort of exercising it as well, it's a double whammy.
I think that's because I was all waxing eloquently about how online connection is amazing, but I do think I've got a little bit too much input from all the podcasts telling you what you should do with your life and all that.
Yeah.
So
well, we all do. We all fall into that. I mean, it's the reason why it's like I try so hard to limit my time on social media. I'm good about that. I sort of duck in and duck off, but it's better if I even just set a timer, because it's just not good for me if I happen at the wrong moment, if I click on something that triggers me, which is very possible on social media. It just makes my whole day a disaster, you know?
And I think what you were saying about the creative outputs, and you made me realize something. The reason I'm not finding the recording part difficult is because of the feeling I'm bringing into the booth, because I'm right now I'm in the best creative place I've ever been in my life.
Yes.
And I'm not saying, and the thing is you don't want to be insensitive and ever go online, oh, I'm working, I mean, and because that could change tomorrow. You don't know.
Right.
But
Right.
Hannibal has given me some skills. Have you noticed I keep talking about Hannibal Hills? He's given me some skills.
Yes.
That it's given me a kind of a basis of security, knowing that I can always look after myself and I'm not dependent anymore. So
right. It's like not being in a what do they call that? Not being in a what is it called? A scarcity mentality,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Is that the language?
Scarcity, abundance,
scarcity mindset. Yeah, that's right. Because it's really different. And I have been in both of them in different ways. The scarcity versus the abundance mindsets. I've been in both of them.
Yeah, because they can easily be triggered in this, because the problem is so many people go through it, and then it comes out. You can get the energy off social media. So yes, it's a wonderful community, but you have to also, I think what you're saying about health and habits, nurture your energy so it's strong, so that it's not affected by the next panic, the next everyone freaking out about something, the next our jobs are going to disappear and the world's going to explode anyway tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? I think if we stay strong, and I think that's a crux of it. What Hannibal gave me was some skills that I could use to build my own foundation so that I feel strong. So it's nothing to do with, oh, I'm booked. I hate those posts. I'm booked until 2052. Just saying.
I know.
I'm not bragging.
It makes me crazy.
It's like, I
it's also
understand
really
we're all
interesting.
doing the best we can, but
we're all doing the best we can. No, there's a lot of them that I find very, very, very rude, and I don't know how to speak to that. I don't know how to speak to it when I see it. It just bothers me, and I sort of go away from it. But I don't know. If I were going to speak to it, I would say, having been in this business for 20 years plus, that the measure of your longevity has nothing to do with how far you're booked out or how many awards you've won. It's something else.
Yeah, yeah, and you can't, it's kind of like when I see posts from like, I'm just going to pick an age, not personal, but like from like a young 20-year-old talking
Hmm.
about how easy it is for her to exercise and look gorgeous.
Mm.
And I don't hate on her. I just think, oh yeah, get back to me.
Yeah,
That's not
right
good,
in
honey.
20 years, right? Get back to me in 20 years.
You know,
Yeah,
it's like it comes from insecurity for them to post those posts. They would
I
you
know,
would
I
they
know.
have to have felt really insecure to feel that they have to prove something, because you know that
Right.
50% of your fellow narrators might be worried about their work. So why would you want to put that out there?
I
And
think it's two things. I think part of it is either some of it comes from insecurity, but I don't think some of it does. I think some of it is just a different way of communicating than we know. I think it's a
oh,
younger way of communicating. And I think that there is I think it's a misnomer I'm quite certain it is a misnomer, because I've spoken to producers who are like, we don't understand what this posting is about. But I think that there are people in the industry who have repeatedly told people that this is how you post most effectively to get more work. And I think
to
it's
look
not true, but
successful,
I
to
think
become
that's right.
successful.
But I don't think it's actually as much insecurity as it is like, I have been told how to build my business. And here's how I build my business, by making these kinds of posts that look like this. And, I think the only people who could really speak to that, I mean, I can say as much as I want. I think that's not effective for you. Or how's that working out for you? I might ask the question, how's it working out for you? And for some
But it's
people, it will
also
work out
different
well. And for
goals,
some
isn't
people, it
it?
won't. Yeah.
It's if that's I'm never going to understand the how do I build my business people. I'm not. No, I understand that I have to build my business. I understand that I admire people that are savvy about business,
Yeah.
but I'm never
Yeah.
going to understand the people we go back to drive, that's their
Right, right,
drive,
right, right.
because it's
Well, I
not
think
my
that
drive.
they're building a different business though, also than
Yeah,
you're building,
yeah,
right? It's like a different business model. So whoever subscribes currently to the current and sort of new business model of like, here I am and I'm posting this and this is the way. And to me, it seems a little bit obnoxious, but then I have to go, it's not meant to be obnoxious. It is what they
yeah.
perceive will build their business. Different business than my business, different business model, not what I would have wanted. And also I think it's taking cues from the other acting industries that are more visual to say like, here I am on Law and Order, right?
Yeah.
Here I am on Law and Order, watch me. That's a great post. Very, very, very important. To me, it doesn't translate to one in the booth, because it's not a this medium, it's an audio medium. But I think here we are in this world of social media in which people are told different things about how they are supposed to be
Yeah.
posting to build business. So
And our
I
reactions
think
we're
it's that.
responsible for, aren't we? Because I realized that even just good
Yes,
friends, I can have a different motivation
that's
from
right.
a friend. I've got friends that respect and being seen is really, really important. Whereas
Mm,
my love language is, oh my God, I worked with this like writer that I admire and look at what
right,
we made. Do you know what I mean? That's my
right.
love language.
Very
But their
different.
love language is, I went to this, I was seen here, I was seen there.
That's
It's,
right.
and just because that's not my love language doesn't mean there's nothing, just because I don't care about digital marketing doesn't mean
Right.
that it's not a valid pursuit. And it also doesn't mean I shouldn't
No,
try to
it's
learn
very
from it.
valid. It's very valid, and it's the most valid right now. And I think also it is simply it is a different language than the one that we grew up with. And so that's
Yeah.
something that I really try to think all the time is like, what language did I grow up with? What was sort of building your business when I was young? Like even when I was a young actress, what was it? Because I sent things in the mail. It was sending headshots in the mail, you know? And it was postcards. It was like cool postcards that I used to make up. And I would handwrite things. I should go back to that. It would be so weird, I think, for people to receive like a handwritten card. I think I might need to take it to roll back to handwritten cards. I actually just love letters also.
But
But anyway,
I
but
think what's crucial about that is that, yes, it might not be my love language,
mm,
but that's okay,
yeah,
because that doesn't mean I have to change. or there's
Oh
anything
no,
wrong with me. And I think what
no,
swerves me is a lot of people doing what they're doing, living their lives in a certain way. They are 100% sure it's the only way. And so I
correct.
believe them, thinking,
Yeah.
I think we, a lot of us do that. We all want to try to find the
Mm-hmm.
right way to do things. So we believe the way everyone else is doing it is the right way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's never worked for me. I never, whenever I tried to do anything the way anyone else did it, it was an immediate fail for me
Yeah.
personally. I don't know why. I mean, I've always used to say, gosh, those things that seem to work for everyone, gosh, I wish they worked for me, you know?
Yeah, I always said, "Oh my God, they're ridiculous. Those are awful things. Why would you want to do?"
Well, that's
Which is
lovely.
really not nice and very obnoxious way to go about life.
No, I always tried to do all the things and I always failed. I like your way better.
Yeah, it didn't garner me a lot of friends. But yeah, but no, they're very valid ways. It's just different love
Yeah,
language.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I love that. So we've unpacked the entire world, and I cannot believe that the time has flown.
Has it?
Um,
Are we at a time? Oh, we
yes,
are. Look
we
at
are out
us.
of
This has been
time.
about an hour. My
Yeah, I like
goodness.
literally can't believe it. It feels like it's been
Me
10
neither.
minutes.
It really feels like it's been 10 minutes. It has been such a pleasure.
Can I ask you
Yes.
one last thing?
Please.
I've already asked you the like final question and everything, but what is your dream as an artist? What do you search for and strive for as an artist?
Oh, I have so many dreams. Um, I'm gonna answer the question in a strange way, if you don't mind,
Very
because
strange.
um because I have so many in terms of like the literal answering of it, my dreams as an artist are still quite vast and go across mediums. But what I keep saying is in this age right now of technology, um, where the pendulum is swinging towards technology like this, right? I keep wondering where I need to stand for when it swings back, because what I think is going to happen is possibly, I think we are going to enter into another golden age of theater, because I think people at
Oh,
some point are going to say, we need to go out of our houses. And I think it's going to look different and feel different. It's going to have to be accessible to people financially, do you know?
yeah.
But but I think people are going to say, we need to be around humanity. We need to be away from screens. We need to be not isolated. The pendulum, I think, will swing back. And so, what I ask of myself all the time is, am I standing in the right place for when it swings back? So, my great dream as an artist is that I'm standing in the right place for when it swings back. And all of the dreams I have that occur in audio, in writing, on the stage, all of them involve companies. So I will say that my great dream as an artist always involves, who am I producing with? Who am I writing with? Who am I performing with? What is my company? And I just hope I'm standing in the right space for when that new golden age arrives, that I can feel is coming, where people are going to say, we've got to be around bodies. We've got to be around
You've given me
humans.
this like flash image of like people meeting in underground like speakeasies just to like be
Yes.
around humans.
Yes. No, exactly. But that's what I think is going to happen. I literally think
Yeah.
something like that is going to happen. And so for us as artists, it's like, am I opening the speakeasy where there's like, cabaret performances every night?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where am I standing? So that, is it the theater company that blah, 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 blah? Is it the production company that blah, 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 blah? I don't know, but those are where my dreams go.
You've made me, I miss burlesque. I miss the crowds. We're doing just a
Don't
little,
you? Oh,
yeah, I'm
I
going to
love
a
burlesque. You and I
burlesque.
have got to talk about burlesque at some point. I started to write a series that takes place in like around a bunch of burlesque dancers. So I might need to like call you up and be like, hello,
I
talk to
performed at
me.
the famous Madame Jojo's in
Oh
Soho. Yes.
my
My like
God.
my one lifetime achievement that like I'll never let anyone hear the end
Oh,
of. But yeah,
oh, Oh, I
It's love.
must know more about it. Burlesque is the
We will
crowning
have a
high art.
burlesque chat one day. We'll do that. And we will exercise when we're up watching disgraceful TV.
It sounds
In the
perfect.
morning.
I love it. Wonderful.
Thank you so much. This was the call I needed. And thank you,
Me too.
Rebecca. It was lovely to see Rebecca. It was lovely to see you, Gabra. And
Me too. For me too.
I hope you have a fabulous summer, you guys.
Thank you. And to you.
Bye. Mwah.